All right. Thanks as always for everyone stopping by. UCLA women's basketball media availability session here ahead of our game against Oregon this weekend. We are joined by head coach Corey Close and student athletes Lindsay Corsaro and Michaela Onyenwede. I will toss it to Coach for an opening statement first. I guess the only item for everyone that I guess you're probably all aware of already is that we have a new player on our active roster, Dominique Darius, and she has started practicing with us this week, and I'm sure Coach will reference that. But I'll toss it to her, and then after that, feel free to use the raise hand function, and we'll go questions for Coach or the student athletes.
Well, good evening, everybody. Excuse me for being a couple minutes late. I was talking with our Vice Chancellor about some other challenges and solutions that we're trying to find on our campus. So thank you for your patience. Happy holidays to everybody, and just really grateful that you would take time to be here with us. I think, going into this week, I think about how many people never get tested against top 10 opponents. They never get to see, like, where do I fit against the nation's elite? And we've already had 2 opportunities, and we get another one this weekend. Like, how cool is that? I mean, this is, and we're all healthy, and we enjoy each other's company. And so as challenging as things are and as difficult as things are, as I start to list those things that we're getting to experience, I just get excited for another opportunity to compete, and excited for an opportunity to grow, excited for another opportunity to have a gauge of where we are on this crazy trajectory to be ready for postseason and playing our best basketball at that point. Does that take away the challenges that we're experiencing? No. Are there creative things we have to adjust to every single day? Yes. Will this go down to be the hardest leadership and coaching and playing experience of my 28 career? Yes. But I think the more energy I have is when I think about what I get to experience that very few people do. And so we're going to stay focused on that. I'm excited to have that opportunity against Oregon this weekend.
Great. We'll open up to questions here, and we'll start with Tukni from the LA Times.
Coach Ryan reminded us about Dominique. How obviously this is a very rare circumstance to have that opportunity to add a player mid-season. So how did that come together? What's it been like having her in practice, and how much can we expect to see her as early as this week?
Well, I mean, legally we can put her in whenever we want, but I think it remains to be seen a little bit, Tukni. I'm not positive about how we're going to integrate her this weekend, what that will be like. I'm not sure yet, to be honest with you. I think what was today, her 3rd practice, I think it was. I think it's, we'll see. I think she is, it is very rare. A lot of things need to fall into place. Coach Tony Noonan was really the one who said, hey, everyone's getting this year back from an eligibility standpoint. Her season's getting canceled or dramatically reduced in New Jersey. Is this even a possibility? And then reached out to her coaches and administration. I knew she was far ahead academically. So, a lot of things have to line up. You have to be able to graduate early. You have to be able to, all these different things that had to happen. It's really a credit to her maturity. Blair Academy is an excellent institution. They were really good with her, and and I would never have asked that in a normal circumstance, because I wouldn't want to take a young woman away from her senior season of high school. But in this case, this is really a win-win for her, because she gets to come, she gets to have college experience, she gets to understand at least a little bit of a taste of what it takes at this level, and it doesn't count against her eligibility, doesn't count against her clock. And so she's really in a fortunate situation that way. And then obviously with our numbers, it's really great to have another body. And so I think it remains to be seen how quickly she picks up on things. I mean, it's hard for a normal freshman that comes in August, let alone in September, September 21st, what Emily did. And then now you've got December, 20, whatever it was, 6th or 7th was Dominique's first. I mean, it's an impossible expectation. So I just am going, this is a win-win for you. So just grow every day, give to the team, and then we'll see where we land.
What was the timeline in figuring out that this would be a possibility for her? How many months, weeks ago was this on your radar?
I think we really started going about, I think the week before the Arizona weekend, we were like, okay, things started to really shut down in New Jersey where she's from, and was looking like her season was not going to happen to the extent that she thought. And that's where Tony brought it up. And then we started asking our compliance people, and she started talking to their administrative people of whether that was graduating early was a realistic possibility. So it's been definitely weeks. I think it really was a month turnaround from right about there.
And Michaela, can you I know you've only been with her for a few days, but can you kind of tell us what you've seen from Dominique in the first few days of practice, and what do you think her future at UCLA can hold, not only this year, but in the future?
Yeah, it's been really cool to get to know Dominique. I had some conversations with her before she got here, just kind of getting to know her. And so it's kind of cool to put like just a person to a face. And so she just really works really hard in practice. And obviously she's still learning a lot, and there's just a lot being thrown at her right now. But you can just tell that she has just leadership abilities that are very natural to her. And she's a great player. She's kind of a dog. You can kind of already see that in her first 3 days. And so I'm excited for her to be able to hopefully contribute to our team. If not this year, then next year. I think she's gonna be a great player just because of her natural leadership abilities.
Thanks, Tiffany. We can go over to Sue.
Yeah, just that's a very interesting sequence of events. And so basically this is like a freebie. What's the status of Chantel Horvat currently, and then how and where is Dominique going to fit into the rotation, coach? And then maybe, well, we'll take it that, and then I'll follow up.
Chantel Horvat has a minor lower leg injury, and so she's not available this weekend, but we're hoping to have her back sooner rather than later, but we're not totally sure on what the timeline is going to be with that. But we are hopeful in the near future she'll be rejoining us from that perspective. In terms of the role that she ends up playing, I think that Lindsay and Charisma have been playing our highest amount of minutes. And so my hope would be if Dominique was able to give us quality minutes on that front, that it could provide a little bit of substitution patterns for Lindsay and Charisma. So she's a backcourt player. She's a swing guard, can play a little bit of the point guard position or the two, which really are interchangeable for us. And so that's where I see her having potential to help us the most. And also, something that we haven't been able to do as much this year is really put max pressure on the basketball. And really, I think when she's in the game, we'll be able to execute that a little bit more at a higher frequency than when she's not. And just because there's not so much that's going to be expected to her in terms of volume. So that's a way that she could really provide a spark and use her athleticism. She's strong as well as quick. She's got really long arms, but there's just, there's been a couple times today, just being really candid, that I thought, wow, I mean, she is doing some really good things already. And then I had a couple moments where I was like, you are still a high school senior. And that's the reality, I think, of, where she is right now. And so I think that proportions will increase as she gets more experience, but that's understandably and to be expected.
Absolutely. And then maybe for Michaela and Lindsay, you guys, what a way to get thrown into the fire, by the way, for this high school girl to go to Oregon and play Oregon. Michaela and Lindsay have had plenty of experience playing Oregon. How are you different, obviously different personnel with the Ducks this year, but kind of the same situation. How are you guys preparing to face this team this year as opposed to other years?
Lindsay.
I think for us, our biggest focus, Coach Corey's been talking about how this Christmas break or these days after the holiday, when you're not doing any scout specific things and you really just get to focus on your team and what it needs, really make or break the team's trajectory for the season. So for this break, we've just been trying to learn as much as we can from past film. Sorry. And also just really talking about our toughness, our rebounding, and the things that we can control, and really trying to hone in on those things. So I think the tougher team usually wins. And so we really have to bring that. And that's kind of been our challenge and our focus going into this game and stepping onto their home court, is how we approach the game with like an expectation to do what we do and to also be the team that wins all the toughness plays.
That's great. And I guess maybe just one more for either for either athlete that wants to answer. You guys have been doing so much with a small roster. How do you go into every game like Mighty Mouse, like every game with 7, 8 players and just stay in the top 15 and play like you do? What is that like mentally?
I think we talk about a lot in our program that what we have is enough. And we know that to others, it might look like we're shorthanded, but it doesn't change kind of like our goals, our commitments, and what we've kind of committed to one another. And so it doesn't matter if we have 7 one day or 8 one day. It's kind of what we've worked on every single day in practice since September. And so we're not going to continue to dwell on our numbers. We're going to just continue to kind of focus on what we have, what we can get better with, and just who we have in our circle.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sue. We can pass it over to Dave, UCLA Radio.
Thanks. This is for Lindsay and for Michaela. When you started, you got to have 2 months of workouts. Then you got to do a scrimmage that nobody could see. Then you got to play some non-conference games against probably lesser opposition. What are you guys going to be able to do as leaders, as experienced leaders, to help shepherd Dominique through an incredibly demanding start to her career?
I think just really being mindful of the position that she's in, and really trying to take her under our wing, whether that's off the court, texting her, checking in on her, seeing what she needs. And then on the court, she's already really on top of things as far as asking questions and just one step ahead and wanting to learn, which is awesome, because that's going to go such a long way. But I think just being there to answer any questions she has and encourage her, but also know that she's gonna make mistakes as she grows, and be right there to just tell her it's okay. We've all been there. But yeah, I've been really impressed with her. Like Mick said, like you can tell she has a strong voice and she wants to use it, whether that's to ask questions or to lead. And so I think for Michaela and I being part of the leadership team and being captains, just both of us trying to step in there and just walk alongside with her and also encourage her to keep doing what she's doing, because she's already doing a really good job.
Yeah, I would just add to what Lindsay says, especially as captains of the team, you have to be aware of a lot of different people on the team. And so for Dom and for me, it's just about being a leader for her on and off the court. And if that's giving her rides from our apartments to the gym, if that's making sure she knows what to pack on the packing list, if that's making sure that she comes over to our apartment, stuff like that, just making sure she feels integrated in our team. Because I know when I was a senior in high school, I was not ready to go to college. And so it's definitely a weird position that she's in, but so we want to make her as comfortable as she can being here.
Turning to Coach, last time you played at Matthew Knight Arena, I remember number 20 walking off the court and slamming a water bottle. You locked her up, you got the win on the road. This Oregon team is a lot different. They can hit from outside. Anybody can shoot the three. They've got size. How do you attack defending this Oregon Ducks team?
Well, and I think that part we got a little bit of confidence from. That's a confidence they earned by defending Stanford pretty well. I mean, we even went through how many of those buckets that they got were because we didn't box out or because, we had a mental error. But, holding them to 60, the number one team in the country, who's also a pretty prolific scoring team, to 61 points. I always tell our team, I can't give you confidence. You got to go earn it. Well, they earned some defensive confidence in that sense. And so I hope that they will build from that, going into against Oregon. Now, Oregon has more people shooting the three than Stanford does, especially with the lineups that they're playing most often up at Oregon. And so that's going to be the first point, is trying to chase them off of the 3-point line, force them to make more plays off the dribble, less plays off the pass. And that's going to be a big part of that. And then it's really going to come down to our rebounding. If we can force the one hard shot from 2-point range, hopefully mid-range, now it's controlling those second shot opportunities, because not only do you shoot a higher percentage and get to the free throw line, but you also kick out to threes really well off of offensive rebounds. So it's so important on so many levels to control the defensive glass. And that's got to be a way that we step up, like Lindsay said, in our toughness. And but we can't trade 3s and 2s with them. And so that's going to be really, really important. And I also think we have got to get downhill on them, and we've got to get into the paint and really force them to play on the defensive end. They really hang their hat on their efficiency offensively, and we need to make them really defend us and exert energy to keep us out of the paint, keep us off the boards. And I think all of a sudden that makes things easier on the defensive end for us.
A couple of years ago, Coach, you defended Taylor Mikesell at Maryland, ended their season, and you also coached Sedona Prince before she got hurt in the under 19. So how much of an advantage is that, knowing their game maybe more than other coaches might going in?
Well, I think we've had a lot of experience. We've recruited, some of the players that chose Oregon. So I think we have a good sense of that. But definitely Sedona, and Mikesell, we have a really good sense of who they are. Actually, Michaela knows, Mikesell from playing in the Pan Am games as well with USA Basketball. So there's a lot of connections on those fronts. And, but you know what? It's when you throw that thing up, where scouting is so in depth now, whether I coach, I might know some mental nuances. I coached Fran Belibi and, Cameron Brink, last year on the U19 team too. And, I obviously didn't stop them. So, I think really it's about using the knowledge you have. But the reality is that players got to go out and make plays. They got to focus on who can take away the other team's strengths, who can play to their own. I think this is a player's game. And I think that we're going to do the best we can to prepare them well. But their toughness and focus is going to make the difference.
Thanks, Dave. We can go to John from the Daily Bruin, and then Kari will be up next.
Last time I talked to you guys were going into winter break. Coach said she didn't want the players focusing on basketball for a few days. So to the players, did you guys do that? Did you guys not focus on basketball for a few days? And if so, how are you guys kind of getting back into the flow of things?
Yeah. During the break, my mom was able to come, so that was really fun to be able to spend time with her. There wasn't really much to do, but it was just nice to see her. And how am I getting back into it? I don't think it was too hard, just because we have 3 or 4 days off, and games are right around the corner, so it's just easy to kind of get back up for games, and super excited to travel and be able to kind of just go to compete with my team.
Yeah, same here. I watched some NBA games, so that was exciting to have the season start back up. But yeah, just lots of relaxing for those couple days, trying to just recover our bodies physically. And then Coach Corey always talks about recovering mentally too. So that was a nice little break. But same as Michaela, it's always exciting to kind of come back, because after Christmas is kind of when the season really takes off as far as all the Pac-12 games and then going into tournament time. So this is where it starts to get really competitive and ramp up. So it's the most fun part of the season.
Go to Kari, and then we can circle back around if anyone has any final questions.
It's Kahari Jones from the LA Sentinel. Coach, it seems like you got a lot of energy right now. It seems like you're just excited for the next chapter. You always find different ways to help them grow through challenging situations. Michaela and Lindsay, can you all speak on how does it help you all as a team, and as a player?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about Coach Corey is her passion, just in all facets of life. But definitely it's always fun coming in every day, and that you're going to get pushed to your maximum capacity. And so just the passion that she has for what she does and the way that she keeps that fire alive is inspiring, and it totally helps our team always seek to grow more and more.
I think along with that, it's not just about just the passion, but also just bringing joy as well. And that's something that's super emphasized on our team, especially through our staff. It's just, how can we have passion? How can we get better every single day? But how can we bring that joy? And I think that's such a great balance to have on a team. You can have fun, but when it's time to be serious, have fun and just enjoy your teammates. And so, yeah, it's super, super exciting.
Coach, where does that passion come from? It seems like you always just got that spirit, it's almost embedded in you.
Well, honestly, it's because I just really don't want to let these guys down, quite frankly. And I also think that I know my why. that the reality is that this is what I feel like I've been given the opportunity to use sport to impact people. And I love to compete. I've always loved to compete. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's like tiddlywinks or, you know, they don't even know this yet, but we're going to play wiffle ball when we come back on whatever day it is. We're off tomorrow and then the next day. But, you know, I think that if they know how, like Lindsay said, to balance, or maybe Michaela said, balance, when is it time to be serious and urgent about growth and competing? And then when is it time to laugh and experience balance in different things? And I think the reality is that if they show maturity in that, then we can do that more freely. And so that's really up to them. But you know, I don't know. I love what I do. I'm really grateful to do it. But I have my days, Kahari. I hope I'm saying that right. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, Kahar, yes.
Yeah, and I just I have tough days, and I have days where I don't always live that out as well as I want to, but my responsibility is to grow right alongside them, to be different, to use every experience to as an opportunity to learn and grow. And you know, this is a pretty cool job, and this is a pretty cool group of people to be around. And so I was telling them just today, the more we intentionally fill ourselves up with gratitude, the more passion and urgency and competitiveness we're going to bring to the battle. And so I think that's, if we can be fueled by that, that's as much for my benefit as it is for theirs.
That's amazing. So seems like y'all gonna have a great time playing with football. Lindsay, you mentioned that you're gonna watch some NBA games. So when you're watching games, do you study, or is it for entertainment? Like, you know, what does that do for you?
A lot of times it's kind of just watching for fun, but something that was fun this past quarantine when they were in the bubble was just watching kind of their motion offense, because Coach Tony, who's our offensive coach, was implementing some different looks for us, and a lot of the different NBA teams run those. So now it's fun because when I'm watching the games, I can see like, oh, they're running this action or they're doing this, and thinking from that angle is really fun.
Yeah, I think that's great that you're studying, you know, just studying the game and just learning movement off the ball as well. I always say that's important. And lastly, Michaela, you said that, you in your next, you in your senior season, you know, how are you feeling right now?
Good. I try to just relish in every moment, and just kind of stay present. I know probably it's easy to kind of drift to, okay, what does the future hold and what does the future hold for me? But I think for me, it's just really important to keep me grounded to like this. I'm just going to go through every day with my teammates and kind of just cherish what I have left in this very unprecedented year. And so, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm excited to play games, excited to go to war with my teammates.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Kahari, thanks for some of the stuff you've been writing. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's more coming. I'm glad you're reading.
Good stuff. We'll go to Gavin. He raised his hand, and we'll circle back to Tukni, and then as we approach the 30-minute mark, we'll see if we have any final questions after that.
This one's for Coach. I remember after the Fullerton game was originally postponed and then played a few days later, you talked about how sort of crushed your players were originally. And so with having another game postponed, do you feel like your team has gotten any better at sort of reacting to that news and sort of looking forward to the next game? And if so, how?
Well, I think this one was a little bit easier because we had a lot more warning, you know, so I think that made a difference. But I think they're also getting unfortunately good at expecting the unexpected, that, you know, everyone's going to have something. And I think just not thinking like, woe is me. And, you know, comparison is the thief of all joy, right? So I think everybody, I mean, look what Stanford's got their challenges with Santa Clara County, and, you know, other people have had shutdowns. And, you know, I think three teams in our conference have had to shut down for 14 days, you know, so everybody's got something. And so we do have a constant thing in our program that we have for years that, you know, events plus response equal outcomes. So if we want the best outcomes, we may not be able to control the events, but we can control the response. And So every time that we have a chance to do that is an opportunity to strengthen our R. And is it easy? No. Is it fun? No. But the reality is I think we've had opportunities to learn from that. And I think I don't know if it's getting easier, but I think we're getting better at it, having quicker response times, being able just to not give our energy away to things that are not under our control. So unfortunately, we're getting better because we've had practice at it, but I do think there's some long-term benefit of learning how to strengthen your R given whatever circumstance you're faced with.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up with Tukni here.
Coach, this is a little more of like a logistical question, but do you have an update on Bryn and how she's doing? Whether she'll be able to join you at any time soon?
Yeah, I mean, the update is that she is just dealing with coming back from a knee injury. And so they've had some parameters that we've been working really closely, the doctors in Canada as well with ours. And they're just really working a plan together. They have some markers that she really, needs to be able to reach in terms of her health in order to be able to come back and do those things. And so I don't know the answer on timelines. I do know she's really being diligent in her rehab and in her process. And I do know we're in constant communication on some of those progressions, but I do not have a date of when that's actually going to transpire with her being, on our team in the day-to-day again.
Is she still rehabbing at home because some of the protocols may prevent her from having kind of that access to care like you would in a normal year, or is this?
Well, I wouldn't say it's because of lack of access to care, but I would say that we think she's in the best position given our unique circumstances, given the care she's getting right now. We don't want to cut that short because we have so many parameters here. We don't have as many student trainers. We don't have as many, we have access to really good care. It just it takes a lot more and there's a lot of sacrifice involved. And when she has really good care, we don't want to put her into some of the protocols that we have right now when she's getting really good care right now. So I think it's just trying to do what's ever in her best interests, given the protocols we have to abide by here and what she has available to her there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. I think we'll wrap it up as we usually do around 30-minute mark. I really appreciate you all being here. We had a really good group of people and get some good discussions here. This was really awesome. Just some quick logistics, really quick. You guys are probably all on the email list. You got the link to this Zoom, but if at all possible, credentials, please send them to me by Wednesday of each game week for the next 2 weeks for both games in each weekend. If that's at all possible, that's really appreciated on our end. And you guys have been good about that. So I think, like I said, I think we'll finish it up. Thank you all for being here. Never hesitate to reach out if you have any personal inquiries about chatting with Coach or our student athletes. And I'll keep you all posted on future developments, Zoom availabilities, etc. And if anyone else has anything to say, cool. All right. Well,
thanks everybody. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good night.
See you guys. Talk to you later.
Take care.